You wake up every day feeling chained, not by iron or rope, but by expectations, by the weight of other people's ideas about what you should be, what you should do, who you should follow. It's exhausting. It feels like no matter how hard you push, you're tethered, pulled back by invisible threads. And that's the truth for so many who carry the title of leader, but act like someone else's leash, holding others back, trap themselves, pretending that control equals leadership. But real leadership? Real leadership doesn't bind. It frees. It lights a fire that anyone nearby can feel burning, not because they're trapped in its heat, but because they choose to stand near it. The difference between being a leader and being a leash is the difference between crushing potential and sparking it. Look around. See those stuck, frozen in place, pretending they're fine, just because it's safer to hold on to where they are than risk the unknown. Maybe it's the way the world taught them leadership, through power, through control, through fear. Maybe it's how they got promoted, climbing up by pushing others down, making sure no one else gets too close to their throne. But leadership was never meant to be a leash. It was meant to be a bridge, a shock of energy that tears through complacency and convinces others that more is possible. The moment leaders start policing every move instead of inspiring every move, they become the problem. The leash becomes the lie. It's a brutal truth. If you're checking every step, if you keep tightening the grip because you don't trust, you're actually locking yourself and others in cages. This is where founders lose their vision, where investors stop seeing futures and only count risk, where professionals get tired and lose their spark, and where leaders forget why they started leading in the first place. Leadership done right is messy, uncontrollable, unpredictable, but that's exactly why it works. It's about creating a space where people get to be free to fail, to try, to explode with ideas, to break things and rebuild them better. If you are a leash, you are stopping that freedom. You are fencing in possibility. But here's what they don't tell you about freedom in leadership. It's not about chaos or lack of direction. Freedom without focus, without vision, is just noise. True leadership aligns freedom with purpose so tightly, it feels like it's pulling you forward with unstoppable force. You don't lead by tightening chains. You lead by expanding horizons. You create new paths, not rules. You trust the people following you to be wild enough to take risks, smart enough to learn from mistakes, and brave enough to break the old. You give others power because yours multiplies when shared, not diminished. If there's one thing that will make or break leaders today, it's the courage to choose freedom over control, trust over fear, growth over safety. That choice isn't easy. It's the hardest thing a leader can do, because it means releasing the illusions of certainty, of authority, of comfort. It means standing naked in the storm of change, knowing you might lose your grip, knowing everything you built can fall apart at any second. But it's the only way out of being a leash. It's the only way to become a true leader. Right now, there's a secret, whispered by the few who dare, that maybe you already know somewhere deep inside, but have been too afraid to admit. The world's systems, the rules, the traditions, they weren't designed for you. For the extraordinary few who see differently, who feel the fire burning too bright to be tamed, the old ways are prisons disguised as order. You're not going to find your freedom in someone else's playbook. You have to create your own game. You have to become fiercely sovereign, where your will is your sharpest weapon, and your vision is untouchable. Leadership, then, becomes not what society hands you, but what you demand from yourself and others. And here's the thing about being a leader who is not a leash. It's lonely. It's isolating. Because the world loves the predictable, the easy to manage, the obedient. It shoves aside those who break the narrative, who refuse to settle, who burn brighter and differently. But that's why it's so vital to find your people, the few who don't fear the fire you carry, those who match your heat and fan your flames. Real leadership isn't a solo act. It's a web of radical alignment, intense, rare, authentic connections where each person's strengths multiply the whole. This is the power the world has forgotten, the power in linking rare brilliance to rare brilliance, creating a force so potent it redefines what's possible. Being a leash isolates. Being a leader unleashes. To step away from being a leash, you have to confront what binds you personally. What stories, fears, doubts are gripping your hands right now? What old beliefs about control and safety are feeding your need to hold tight instead of letting go? This is where the revolution begins, inside your mind and heart. You have to question every rule you obey, every expectation you meet, every boundary you accept as unbreakable. You have to be ruthless in cutting through the illusions that keep you small, because you deserve more. Your people deserve more. The future you dream of demands it. Break the cycle by giving others space to grow, to mess up, to challenge you. Build trust so thick it cannot be cut by doubts or failures. Celebrate learning over winning, potential over perfection, process over product. This radical trust is what transforms teams into movements, companies into forces of change, followers into pioneers. When you operate like a leash, you kill that spark. You contain it in fear. When you operate like a true leader, you become the spark. You fuel growth, you inspire courage, you trigger change. There's zero room for ego in real leadership. It's not about proving how much power you have, it's about how much power you can give away without fear. It's about shifting focus from your image to your impact. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to be a leader who doesn't care about being the loudest in the room, who doesn't fear losing their place on the throne because their strength comes from the fire others carry alongside them. That kind of leader doesn't need chains, they build ladders, they plant seeds instead of walls. This mindset transforms not just your own world, but the world around you. When leaders let go of control, suddenly possibility explodes. Innovation isn't planned, it happens naturally. People don't just follow, they lead alongside. Boundaries become bridges. Fear becomes fuel. The impossible becomes the everyday. That power, that freedom, that kind of leadership, it's contagious. It spreads from 1 to 2 to 10 to hundreds to thousands. You don't just change companies or projects, you change the course of futures. Being a leash is comfortable in a dark, numbing way. It's safe because it's familiar, but it's a death sentence for growth. Leadership demands choosing the harder path, the unknown path, the path where you burn but also rise. If you want to break free from being a leash, start by mastering one brutal truth. Your control ends where your trust begins, and your power grows the moment you embrace the unknown. That's the fire that burns leaders into legends. It's time to stop managing others like they're your safety net. It's time to stop fearing what you can't predict. It's time to stop believing that freedom is chaos and control is order. True leaders create order out of chaos by trusting the fire they see in others and fueling it, not smothering it. They act as conduits, not cages. The world needs leaders who burn with this kind of fierce freedom, who refuse to be leashes. Leaders who say, I won't hold you back, I'll pull you forward. It's not about you anymore. It's about unleashing the power of the few who refuse comfort, who reject sameness, who dare to redefine reality. Those leaders don't lead to be followed. They lead so that others can lead too. Look at where you are right now. Feel the tension inside, that quiet voice that won't be silenced. It says you're meant for more. It says you don't have to settle for the leash, the chains, the fear. It whispers that leadership can be wild, free, messy, and beautiful all at once. It challenges you to shed everything that holds you back, because beyond that is a kind of power so real, so immense, it will reshape your life and the lives of those you touch. You are not a leash, you are a leader, and leaders don't bind fire, they set it loose. So ask yourself, how will you lead today? Will you tighten your grip or will you open your hands? Because the world is waiting for leaders who set others free, who will liberate themselves first and then forge a path for the rest. The choice is yours, but remember, the leash is a chain and chains break. Leaders lead beyond those breaks. They transform every link into a lifeline. It's time to stop being the leash. It's time to become the spark that ignites a revolution of freedom and fearless leadership. Owl